can begin a new year, you need to plan the year ahead and you need to begin with a clean slate. And the reason I say that is that because we need to recalibrate so that we can see our vision clearly when we get started. And we need to inventory and audit our lives in every area pretty much relentlessly so that we can get that clean start and recalibrate. So today on this episode, I'm going to share all the things I did to recalibrate and some resources too. And perhaps you can take away some things on how you can do the same. Welcome to Waist Up Wardrobe. I'm Christine Vartanian, an attorney turned personal style expert and image consultant. As the founder of Jade House of Style, I am passionate about unveiling the inner confidence of my clients by developing their personal style and dressing them for success. But is getting dressed up still important in our virtual world? Well, that's where my experience can help with what I call Waist Up Wardrobe. Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast for all things you need to conduct an outstanding Zoom meeting. It's about how to dress for the camera, but it's not just about the clothes. It's about everything you need to know to show up on brand and professionally for the camera. Join me in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio to discuss how to navigate this virtual world and dominate from behind the desk. Hello, Waist Up Wardrobe Nation. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Waist Up Wardrobe. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you for supporting us this past year. And actually, this is episode 154. So we've had multiple episodes where we have gleaned your support. And I hope we brought you content that you are enjoying. I also want to say that I want to thank my producer, Rick Moscoso, who's now telling me that I look very bright and like a ghost. So I'm adjusting. If it weren't for him, I would probably look pretty off. So thank you, Rick, for always being here in the green room, making this entire show possible from a technical standpoint. And guess what? We're going to get to have him on the show today because I think he's going to have a lot of great insight into the topic for today. So we're going to be talking with him about inventorying and auditing to get a fresh start. And I would love for you to come on camera right now, Rick, so we can kind of get this conversation started.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you for the tip on how ghostly I looked. It's because my, the ring light was too high, but I still feel like it could be better, but it is what it is, right? We're on live.
All right, we'll let it go. Let it
go. So today's show's it is kind of about organizing and recalibrating, but it's more about really digging deeper and doing an inventory in a really relentless way so that you can actually really get that clean slate. I mean, there's so many different areas of our lives that we could inventory, and we'll be talking about them today, like, from the mental clutter, the emotional clutter, the physical clutter, the digital clutter. So any thoughts on this idea of cleaning everything up to kind of hit the ground running for like a vision for the year?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, one of the things that I try and do in the beginning of the year, well, as we approach the beginning of the year, so I'm not sitting here trying to do it at the beginning of the year, is to kind of declutter digitally, because it's very easy to stack up and just sit there, right? In your, especially like your mailbox, in your Gmail box or whatever email system that you're using. And next thing you know, this is why I turn it off, but I don't know what the count indicator is of unopened emails because it's in the tens of thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not open because I don't read it. Or it's not unread because I haven't read it. It's just unmarked as unread, just so I remember to go back and take care of it. Right.
Yeah.
But then, that never happens. So,
well, and sometimes we look at something on one device and we won't on another. And so on the other one, it remains unopened. I think that's been my experience. Is that correct?
I have everything going into Gmail, so it's cross-platform, no matter if I look at it on my phone or a computer. And I know you can do that with Outlook and some of the other things as long as it's synced. But yeah, the point is, you listed a lot of things, or a lot of things that we can focus on to clean up and reorganize. And I think that I would caution somebody, because I remind myself of this every day. Well, not every day, but at the beginning of the year, is not to try and do everything, right? Because because and this goes back to a little bit in business, is if it's good to try and do a little bit of everything, but to really be effective, put your resources into one thing and do that thing really well. So if it means decluttering or reorganizing, then focus on one thing to reorganize or to declutter and really do that well. And
Yeah.
then for me, I get a feeling of accomplishment because now I've tackled that. I'm done, right? It's
Yeah.
not like I'm just gonna inch this over, do a little bit here, do a little bit there, and then if you step back after a week or two, it looks like you hardly did anything.
I know. That's, like, not a good feeling of accomplishment. I mean, I currently right now have 110,000 unopened emails
Oh my
off of my phone. Again, not
god.
because I didn't open them, but for some reason, if I open them on my desktop, it doesn't count on my phone. So I decided not to even touch my emails for my inventory, but I did do other things. So I'm glad you mentioned like focusing in on certain areas because honestly, I don't even know where to begin to
Mhm.
start decluttering my emails because you end up getting all these ads. You buy one thing from a company and then you get all these things. And that is part of the problem too with the enormous number of emails people get, don't you think?
Oh yeah, when you buy something, they want your email, and then you're on their list. And then even if it's a one-time buy, you're on their list. So what I did over the past year is um was to start unsubscribing to these platforms or to these stores where I bought stuff, and I know I probably would never buy something again, or if they've been with me for a while, but I never really take the time to read their marketing email, then I'll
Yeah,
just unsubscribe.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if it's really that important and I buy something, I'll be back on their list.
So I just want to caution you that your audio keeps going out. And it just did again. So just FYI, I don't know if maybe you need
Hmm.
to connect to a wire or something. But anyway, so I see that is that is really it's really interesting because I think email clutter has now become a big problem because of all the spam or the companies that tend to send you stuff on email. And before we used to have the physical mail and now we have the physical mail still and the emails.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't feel like life is getting simpler by moving paperless. I feel like it's getting more compounded. So, any thoughts around that?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Um, it can be overwhelming because it'll catch up with you, and I mean, I look at my promotions folder and
Uh-huh.
it's like, holy cow. I mean, I just cleaned it out, and within 10 minutes there's 100 unread emails, right, from just refreshing. And a lot of these promotions are from things that I've either interacted for information, or things that I've bought in the past, and I'm just, I'm to the point where it's like I really 95% of this stuff I really wouldn't read any marketing email they would send me. So I start going through them and unsubscribing.
Yeah. But that's even a chore. That's the problem. The
Mhm.
actual act of trying to unsubscribe to something is a problem. I mean, I've gotten to a point where sometimes I've said, maybe I just delete it all. But, like, maybe just let me delete it all, uh,
Mhm.
and, just throw it away. But then, of course, once you do that, it's like, I shouldn't have done that because I need this one thing."
Yeah, but still, I mean, so with Gmail, I can click on tens or hundreds of emails and just mark them, and companies probably hate this, but you can just mark them as spam, and
Yeah,
then it'll actually unsubscribe you from that email address in a couple of checks, in a
yeah,
couple of clicks.
yeah. But again, if you have 110,000 emails,
Yeah.
like you go through to unsubscribe, and it is
Mhm.
definitely, I mean, you have to, it takes a chunk out of your life and time to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I have, like, one of the things I talk about a lot, especially when I'm doing physical decluttering and inventorying, is this idea of auditing and inventorying. So let's take an example. Like if I was talking about the closet, you have the audit and then you inventory, and people will ask me, what is the difference and what does that mean? Well, the auditing process is more about like trying to look at all the things you have and understanding all the things you have. And the inventorying process is sort of what you're left with at the end and what you decide to do with all the things that you already have. And that's sort of, I don't know, I may have made that up as the definitions of those two things, but see, it works for uh, being able to explain to people the difference and really kind of how to go through that process. So any thoughts around the audit, inventory? And I just was pulling out a physical example because I deal with that a lot, is sort of the closet audit and inventory, but it applies to all areas, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the digital. Now, I know mental and emotional is a little bit more nebulous and a lot more inner work, but it still can impact your performance and the way you attack a year to grow in business.
so what are you asking me?
So
Are you
my
asking me if I organize my closet? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm asking you about this idea. How do you feel about the idea of like auditing versus inventorying and the explanation and that process? And does it apply in the digital world since you're, the tech guy?
Not sure how you would inventory email or digital information, um, but auditing for sure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really keep account of how much stuff of something I have. Like if I subscribe and I have all these guides or best practices, um, I don't know if that would be useful for me, useful in my case. I just it for me um, that's a library resource. I
Mm,
have a library resource here on my computer or in my digital folder. Um, so I guess I've never thought of it that way.
yeah. So I'll give you an example of a digital audit and inventory that I did. So I did, like, there's so many areas that we can do this, right? But I just picked a few places. I picked a couple of digital places, mainly my notes in my phone, because I almost always put things in my notes all the time. Like I'll think of an idea and I'll put it in my notes. I'll listen to somebody speaking and I'll put it in my notes before I put it in the right place. So it seems to be sort of the catch-all of everything. So naturally, it got very cluttered, and I was like, I don't know, I had like 3,000 plus notes in there, and I was just like, okay, I need to know the keyword to search to find the one I'm looking for. Did I put it under chat? Did I put it under chat GPT, AI? And so it became really a problem
Mhm.
because it cluttered my digital space and it cluttered my mind. And I feel like when you have clutter around you, it really does impact you in it can cause anxiety and stress. And so that's the ultimate thing, right? We want to live with ease and efficiency. That's the goal of decluttering or doing all this. So I took, I don't know how many days, over, I would say over 3 or 4 days. I didn't do this continuously, but several hours continuously, um, going through my notes. And I whittled it down to 700 notes, and they all have beautiful headings of what they are. So, like for example, and I have, like if I have certain links that I sync up with people, I have that person's name and the link, or that event's name and the link in there. I have a heading for each one of my children, like things that relate to them. I have headings for projects I'm working on, like I'm creating this new thing that we talked about yesterday,
Mhm.
fashion FX, fashion like fix videos. And I have that as a heading in my notes, and all the things that all the titles I'm thinking I'm going to create with them. So I really got a lot of satisfaction out of getting that organized. Now, all I have to do is search the word fashion fix. And then I get all my titles instead of
Mhm.
trying to figure out what did I put it under last time? Did I even give it a title? Now, I know throughout the year it might slide a little bit, but I think the idea is to be consistent and kind of inventorying it, right? So when something slides, just to kind of go back and try and figure it out. But it's always a great beginning to a year to get started at the beginning of the year and kind of do that. So that's my example of some digital cleanup I did. What are your thoughts around that?
No, that's great that you can do that. I think the key is to name it in something that you'll remember, right? And so, tip like if you looked at my Finder folder and the way I organize content, right? It's usually by client. Then I use the same 26 subfolders structure for every client, or for every for every client that I have, or every organization that I work with. And so everything from original pictures to original videos, then documents, then graphics, then, in our case, in the case of Voice Up Wardrobe, it's show episodes,
Yeah.
um, and different things like that. So everything's structured. The top level structure is the same, right? And so when I name a client or name an event, it's usually dated first
Mm,
by, the date of conception or the date of the event, um, and then the company, whoever it is, or any other trigger word that I have. So I can pretty much just say, okay, that was in July. I can go back to July, and I can just scan, and I see the clients at a glance, and then I'll find what I need. Go to the
mhm.
subfolder, say I'm looking for a contract agreement or something like that. I can go to the documents folder, and there it is, right? And, um, so yeah, it's all in the organization of how you set it up
Yeah.
initially. So then you're not going back and renaming it, and you're not going back and it's like, I think I left it on the desktop someplace. I immediately stick it in that folder so it's there, so I know where it is.
Yeah. So that is interesting. So when we're doing this sort of uh inventorying, you take note of the space, the way you're living and your environment. So for the physical stuff, and then for the digital stuff, really it's all everything that's on your computers, your photographs, your video, your voice messages. I had to go through my voice messages because for some reason I have some in there from, I don't know, 1995. Exaggerating, but like from a long time ago, right? So
Mhm.
you really have to, and I kept it for a reason, but now it's sort of outdated. There's no reason for me to keep it. So going through that too, but I felt I really, with focusing on the notes in specific, I felt very, very accomplished. Now, I want to share with the audience and with you this book that kind of got me inspired years ago to really think about clearing and just being in the industry I am. I work a lot with clearing closets, but this book is Your Spacious Self. And I did refer to the idea of emotional and mental clutter and how that could impact us, and how sometimes the physical clutter around us can actually make us mentally distraught because it causes stress, and that's why it's really important to understand sort of the connection between mental clutter, emotional clutter, physical clutter, and this digital clutter now that has become like our way of living. I mean, now, especially with AI and everything, we are developing so much more in the digital space that our buckets of clutter are increasing. So I really recommend this book, Your Spacious Self. It's one of my favorite books for life and self-improvement. I feel like I've learned so much from it, and it's sort of a guide, a step-by-step guide. It comes in, you're reading this in little nuggets. And so it talks about mental clutter, and it gives you sort of exercises and ideas and thoughts around it, really thought provoking. It really does elevate your life. And it's the sister book to that is A Year to Clear, which I think also is a really great book. And A Year to Clear is, I would say, it's sort of the summary of Your Spacious Self, but they really do go hand in hand. And I've read the Spacious Self twice already. I kind of read it on a yearly basis to remind me And a year to clear is great because you could read one little nugget a day and just take an exercise and do something with it. So that in terms of mental and emotional clutter, but also how your physical clutter can impact all that. So, for example, inspired by these books and this whole idea of inventorying, auditing, and clearing the clutter, I decided to go through my entire kitchen and I took every drawer one by one and really, really was very intentional about what was in it and what I wanted to keep and what I can say goodbye to. Now, I don't know, Rick, if you can relate to any of this physical stuff, but maybe in your office space. So I went into the kitchen drawers and I now will open the kitchen drawer and I have this clear space. So Rick, come back on here and tell us about that, like in your life. Is the physical clutter that you ever clear, is that like your desk, your room, your kitchen? Because I found it very liberating to go drawer by drawer in the kitchen and make sure everything has a purpose, a home. And the other thing that's really interesting about clearing, white space. Like I
Mhm.
love that I have shelves now that hardly have anything on them. Because it means that there is space for things to breathe. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm kind of at the opposites of the spectrum where if you were to look in my kitchen drawers, like where all my knives and all the cooking things are, it's spotless. Because
Mhm.
when I cook, I like this. I like it. I'm constantly cleaning as I cook to
Yeah.
keep the space efficient. Just get the stuff out of the way and all that. I had to kind of teach my daughter that because when she cooks, everything is everywhere, and it's just can't find half the stuff, and it's just a mess. So, when it comes to the kitchen, yeah, everything's organized, everything has its place, it's nice and clean. I'm very meticulous about it. I'm very picky about just keeping that space clean. And my wife goes, "Well, how come you can't do that in your office?" Because it's like an explosion went off in my office. I mean, I'm not going to turn the camera around, but holy cow,
Wait, you
it's
should
like
see mine.
no, I've seen yours, and yours is nothing compared to mine.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, this you bring up a really good, important point, and that is that we are human beings, right? And
Mhm.
and sometimes when you're developing and improving one area of your life, other areas of your life might take a back seat because that's
Yeah.
we have a finite amount of time, right? And we have to prioritize. So in a dream world, obviously, it'd be fantastic and phenomenal to have every space in your life, your car included, everywhere, be immaculate with everything in its place. But the reality is, especially if you're a high achiever, busy on the go, have kids add a whole different element to it, right? That you will have some areas that aren't perfectly curated or inventoried. And for a long time, that was my car. Like my car was just the mess. And as long as I could keep the house great, I didn't care if the car was a mess because kids got in. You just get tired of having to pick up after other people, right? It's not just you. So I
Mhm.
bring up a good point is that not to really take this on as a pressure, a test of pressure to get everything on point, but to maybe focus on one area in the digital space, one area in your physical space, and get that nice and clear. And then, you know what? When your mind gets cluttered and you're stressed, just go to the clear space because you'll feel really serene there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and, in this space that I'm in here in my office, it's really easy, to be lazy to clean things up because all I care about is this space right here, right? That you see on camera, right? I mean, there's some things on the back shelf that I could probably clean up, but it's okay. Everything else, if I took this practice into this space, yeah, then it would be much better, much more organized, much cleaner. Um, just less cluttery. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yep. Mhm.
So, given we talked about the digital space of clearing, we know that there's this emotional mental thing about clearing that's a little bit more deep work that actually the books these 2 books I'm recommending are really good at helping you flesh that out and come up with a way to tackle that stuff. But also this physical space. So we talked about kitchen, we talked about cars, talked about offices. Because I am a stylist who works in people's wardrobes a lot, I have a system that helps people start clearing their closet. And I'm just going to give the audience the first 3 steps to really trying to effectively audit and inventory your closet so that you can have a closet super functional where everything has a home. And there's a lot. It's a long process, but I'm just going to give you the foundational pieces. And I truly believe that it's really important to tackle a closet edit or reorganization in this way. The first thing I always recommend is that you want to set aside time, like half a day, where you're just going to be working in your closet. Dedicating that time will give you sort of the space to know that that's what you're focusing on, that you're not going to be doing anything else. And it helps you really reach the goal of decluttering and properly inventorying in the closet. Otherwise, you'll leave things half done, right? So number 1 is dedicating that specific time, half a day on a weekend, and maybe you'll have to continue next day, half a day. Okay. The second thing is, and I firmly believe that this makes this process more effective. I do it with my own closet. I do it with my client's closet, is take every single thing out of your closet, every single thing. And I like that because you get to clear it all and see your closet space empty. And it gives us opportunity to actually clean it, like physically clean it with like a duster and vacuum and all that, because that kind of is the foundation of clearing the space. And it gives you an opportunity to see all your things all at once. Sometimes we have things like falling in the back of our closet that we haven't seen in years, or something we've forgotten about with tags. And this allows us to be able to see all those things all at once and really evaluate what is working for us, what is not working, what have we worn, what have we not worn, what is is fitting properly, and so on. And finally, in this first part of the process of editing is really taking every piece of your clothing, every piece of that is in your wardrobe, and evaluating, is this something that's still current? Does it fit me well? Is it too old to hold on to? Or do I love it and it makes me feel like $1,000,000 when I wear it? So those are sort of the 3 first steps to getting a good handle on the beginnings of clearing your closet. Of course, you can always get help. I'm always available to help you edit and go through your closet. But if you wanted to just get a head start, if you wanted to kind of do it on your own, I really believe that starting on the right foot is really important. Doing a little part of your closet here and a little part of your closet there is not going to get you the results you want. But pulling everything out in a very dramatic way and starting fresh and looking at everything individually can really, really make an impact and make you feel like you're living in a closet, or you have this closet that is serene, that makes sense and is functional, and clears your mind because you don't have the clutter in the closet, which is generally the first place somebody steps into after when they're getting ready to go to work. So I wanted to just let everybody know that with a trigger word, inventory and shine, I would be happy to jump on a call with you to get you started thinking about how you can tackle really, it could be your closet or it could be another area that you want to physically declutter. So the hashtag inventory and shine will just help me identify you so I can get that to you or connect with you so we can really get you started on the right foot and kind of get that closet started. So take advantage of it because it could really propel you into clearing your closet. And this is a complimentary time with me where we just get started and I can give you some really good tips as you go forward. So today, the Waist Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up is really about that. The main takeaway is here that it's really important to audit and inventory in different areas of your life periodically and consistently, because when you let clutter build up, when you let things build up around you, it clutters your mind and it clouds your thinking. And we really want to keep our thinking clear so we can create ideas and build businesses. So it's not productive to have clutter in your space that then impacts you and stresses you out. Okay, so one of the tools, or actually I'm going to give you 2 tools. I'm just going to reiterate your spacious self and a year to clear. And we'll put in the links, we'll put in the comments the links to these 2 books, the Amazon link to that, so that you can go and try and get it if you wish, because I think that they are a really good guide in this clearing process. Now, a tip is, don't feel like you need to do this in every area of your life. Remember, there's 4 areas where clutter builds up and where you could inventory. There is the physical clutter, that's the environment around us. There's the emotional clutter and the mental clutter, and there is the digital clutter. So pick one from maybe 2 of the categories and work on those relentlessly and see how you can then get results. That would be my most important tip. And finally, action item, pick one category and go get it done. So there you have it. That is the Waste Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up. Thank you for joining us for this episode. This is a really important concept because it gets us successful. Clearing our lives of clutter, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, or digital, can really help us maximize our lives and live a more joyful life, because clutter brings us down. You know that because, they made a show about hoarders, right? Why? Because that can really affect your mental wellness. So take it seriously. Go and start clearing something, whether it's your emails or your photos or your notes or your closet. And always know, with the hashtag inventory and shine, you can call on me to help you with that. And we're going to be here next Thursday at 11:30 live, bringing you a new fresh show for Waste Up Wardrobe. So come by and bring a friend.
Okay.
Well, hello. Okay. Let's do the speedy recap.
All right.
I have this. Do you hear these?
Yep. Every
Yeah.
one of them.
Every one of them. Oh my God! Stop! I'm trying to go into focus to undo this. I'm so sorry. I always forget to do that before the show, and then it starts doing it. And then
Does it do that even if you just mute your computer? It probably still will. Yeah.
Well, I can't mute my computer because.
Or no, if you mute the sound on your computer.
Yeah, it does. I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I've tried that, but okay. All right, let me remember how I start these things out. Okay.
Okay, when you're ready.
Okay. See, I believe that you need to audit and inventory all areas of your life as you start a new year so that you can have a clean slate and reach those goals. Is that good?
No, it sounded like there was supposed to be more.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Try it again.
Before you can plan the year ahead, think about sitting down to audit and inventory different areas of your life. So, for instance, if you have a digital space that's really increasing in clutter, like perhaps your emails or your notes or your photos, take the time to audit and inventory and clear it so that you can be more productive.
Yep, I like that better.
Better. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. In Waist Up Wardrobe, episode 154, in episode 1, in Waist Up Wardrobe, episode 154, Take Inventory and Dominate the Year Ahead, the Waist Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up in a nutshell boils down to this. The main takeaway is decluttering is really, really important because it clears the space around you and it clears your mind. To have cluttered physical environment or a cluttered digital environment can really bring you down and block your ideas from coming through. So you don't want that as a business owner. You don't want that as an entrepreneur. So remember, the takeaway here is you need to start clearing before you can start with a clean slate. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's fine.
Not bad? Okay.
Mhm.
In the show, I give 2 key tools to use to help you with the process of decluttering, auditing, and inventorying. The first book I want to recommend as a tool is Your Spacious Self. And that has helped me a lot through the declutter process, as well as A Year to Clear that gives you a step by step every day, one more mini step to getting there. Should I do that again?
Yeah, I think you can clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, okay. In the show, I give 2 tools of how to. In this episode, I give you 2 tools that will help you through the process of clearing, inventorying, and auditing. The first one is Your Spacious Self. The second one is A Year to Clear, which gives you mini steps to getting there throughout the year. Or if you want to do it in one fell swoop, you totally can do that too. So, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. You'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Okay. A tip. Okay. A tip that we discussed on the show. A tip that I discussed on the show is, remember, there are different areas of a tip I use on the show. A tip I discussed on the show is that there are different areas where clutter can accumulate. There's the emotional clutter, the mental clutter, the digital clutter, and the environmental. I'm going to start over again. Okay. A tip I offered on the show is that I want business inventory. So I offered many tips because there are different areas to clear clutter. But one of the tips I gave for your wardrobe clearing is 3-step process. And that is, you want to allocate time specifically to clear your closet. Then you want to take everything out of your closet. And finally, you want to think through everything intentionally. And finally, the main takeaways here is, and finally, the main takeaway here is, no, no. And finally, an action item. There are 4 areas of clutter. And finally, action item. There are 4 clear areas where clutter can accumulate: the digital world, the physical world, Oh. And finally, action item. There are 4 areas where you can accumulate clutter. You can accumulate physical clutter, digital clutter, emotional and mental clutter. So pick one of these areas and take one thing and start clearing away the clutter. Is that good?
Okay, I can clean that up.
Okay, perfect. I have to But thank you. Why are you laughing?
I know you need to bolt, so that's okay.
No, tell
It's
me
all
what you're
good.
thinking. What?
No, I'm just no, nothing. I mean, I'm just chuckling.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a meeting tomorrow where I'm going to be talking to you about this other the fashion fix. So I'm really excited about that because
Yep.
I'm really hyped up about it. Okay. All right. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.